Hello, and welcome to this Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion video. Since I'm doing a lot more Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion, I was like, for the next few, there's cards I want to do that you could put in decks, in quite a lot of decks, but not a lot of people think about them because they're either not that great, or generally they don't really fit and they would prefer other cards. But today I'm going to talk about one of those cards, a card that I don't often put in decks, but when I do really like it. It's actually one of my favorite cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic Cylinder. Now, Magic Cylinder is a normal trap card, and when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can activate Magic Cylinder to target the opponent's attacking monster, negate the attack. That's good. And if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the opponent's monster's attack. Which pretty much means if they attack you with, let's say, a Dark Magician, then you don't take 2,500, they take 2,500. Good, right? And would they attack a monster instead? Then you save your monster while also still dealing that 2,500. And 2,500 is quite a lot, considering you have 8,000 life points. Magic Cylinder could very well just take out at least a quarter of the opponent's life points. So that's quite useful. Generally, like let's say you're running a Senju deck. Your Senju generally leave your field open, so Magic Cylinder would be a fit in that deck. Because the opponent will attack into you. Although generally, like they might just have multiple monsters on the field to attack you with, so something like Storming Mirror Force or just regular Mirror Force is preferred, so you could just get rid of all the opponent's monsters at once. Go attack Dark Hole, Raigeki work in that sense as well, although those can only be activated on your turn. Let's say another deck. Constellar is a deck that I really like to play. I suppose I could put a Magic Cylinder in there. I might actually have one in there, I don't remember. Might replace Dimension Slice with that, because that's a card I have in there right now. I don't remember if I have Magic Cylinder. Oh yeah, I do have Magic Cylinder. I have one copy of Magic Cylinder in my Constellar deck, yeah. Recently put it in. Other deck. Monarchs. Sure, you can put it in. Monarchs is... there's so many decks you can put it in. Because there are certain decks, the cards that are, let's say, more useful against certain decks. Let's say, against Monarch and Cosmo, the continuous trap Imperial Iron Wall is very useful. But at the same time, let's say you're playing Monarch, the opponent's playing Cosmo. You want to play Imperial Iron Wall to stop them, but it also sort of negatively affects you. Magic Cylinder is a card that you could throw in almost any deck that generally works against the opponent. Yes, there are ways to stop Magic Cylinder, and we'll get to that shortly. But Magic Cylinder, I feel, just fits in a bunch of different decks. And even though I personally don't use it, because I do feel like, as many people, like, there's other decks that also do some really nice work, I'd prefer, let's say, a third copy of Fire Information Tenki in a Constellar deck, or I would prefer an extra copy of Twin Twisters in my Monarch deck. Like, there's things like that you can consider, but Magic Cylinder, I feel, still a very nice card to have, and I do have one in my Constellar deck, and I do plan to keep using it, because it's just one of my favorite cards. Yay! Alright, now, ways to make use of Magic Cylinder. First one that I came up with was in my Chainburn deck, I have Lava Golem. Lava Golem helps because it gets rid of 2 of the opponent's monsters. It doesn't target, like, even if the monster can be tributed for a tribute summon, this thing can still tribute it because it's tributing for a special summon. Gets rid of 2 of the opponent's monsters. However, and it deals 1,000 damage during each of their standby phases. Mandatory. No way around it. Except Venus Gen and Breakthrough Skull. But some nice damage. But then they do have, even though you get rid of 2 of their monsters, still have a 3,000 attack monster on their field. You need to defend yourself from that. In my Chainburn deck, I have Swift Scarecrow, I have Battle Fader, but I also have Magic Cylinder. So then they're like, yeah, I have Lava Golem, I'm gonna attack you. Too bad, I flip over this. And that's 1,000 damage from Lava Golem's effect, and 1 Magic Cylinder later, 4,000 of their life points gone, which is half their life points, or if they already have less at that point, more than half of their life points is gone in 1 turn, which is very nice. And that's just 2 cards, and then I might still have a Secret Barrel, or Just Desert, or Geometry, or whatever come in. Because I do also use a Geometry on that deck. I won't talk about it much here, but because, well, I use one to block opponents' monster zones, but it can also be used just to be able to summon Lava Golem. Magic Cylinder is something that is used in when the opponent's monster declares an attack. You target them, you negate the attack, deal damage equal to their attack. There's a polar opposite, sort of. Draining Shield. Opponent monster declares an attack, flip over, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, look at their attack. But instead of dealing damage to the opponent, let's once again take that Dark Magician from earlier. Instead of dealing 2500 damage, you heal 2500. I feel generally the effect damage is more useful than the healing, but Draining Shield could have, like, you might just like healing more. It might just help with your deck, like, was it the Aroma deck, Aromage, that has extra effects when you heal your life points. So then you might use Draining Shield. It's up to you. Now for some ways around Magic Cylinder to stop it. First of all, it's just not attacking. I've seen that in Chamber before. People just know, like, are almost certain, not entirely certain, but almost certain I have Magic Cylinder. So how did they go around it? Not attacking. Well, even though I might have Magic Cylinder, you might as well still attack, because otherwise you just let me draw into my Just Desserts and my Secret Barrel, and then my Legacy Yatagarasu and Jaragri to get more Secret Barrel and stuff. So eventually I will take you out anyway. But in a general deck, not attacking could be a way around Magic Cylinder, although then it's still there. So you kind of still need to take it out with like Twin Twisters, Mystical Space Typhoon, or just attack with a low attack monster first. Let's say you, as the Magic Cylinder player, have 900 life points. The opponent has 1500. Yeah? And they have 1000 attack monster on the field in attack position, and 25, once again, your Dark Magician. Let's say that it's Beaver Warrior that they have on the field for whatever reason. Why would they play Beaver Warrior? But let's say it. 1200 attack. They have 1500 life points, you have 900. They could just attack with Dark Magician. However, especially if they know that you have Magic Cylinder somewhere in your deck, they should attack with Beaver Warrior first. In most cases. Because if you have Magic Cylinder, you are then forced to play it on the Beaver Warrior. Because otherwise you'd lose immediately, because you only have 900 life points, which is less than Beaver Warrior's attack. But when you play Magic Cylinder then, like, they'll still have 3,300 life points left, Dark Magician can finish you off. Instead, if they would attack with Dark Magician, then, and if you would flip it, you would win. So, and that also happens with like Lava Golem with 3000 attack, and then they would have a 1200 attack monster. I've had that a few times in my Chamber deck, that they attack with Lava Golem, and I'm like, okay, thanks for the win. With Magic Cylinder. So, that is a way. Another way to get around it, once the opponent has activated Magic Cylinder already. Let's say you attack. Doesn't matter whether you're going to lose from the Magic Cylinder or not. You don't want it to deal you the damage. How do you get around it? Well, target the attacking monster. Negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage. And if you do, which means the negating of the attack is necessary for the damage, but they do count as happening simultaneously. But the thing here is, the negating of the attack means inflicting the damage. Let's say, once again, you attack with Dark Magician. Activate it. At that point, there is already an attack almost going on from Dark Magician. Because you're using Magic Cylinder, almost going on, but then you're going to stop it. However, how do you stop it yourself so that Magic Cylinder can't do it? Because as long as Magic Cylinder is not the card that's doing the negation, then the damage won't be dealt either. Because it needs to be Magic Cylinder that does the negation of the attack. The card that can do that? Book of Moon. Book of Moon lets you target a face-up monster on the field, changes the face-down defense position. Dark Magician attacks, opponent flips over Magic Cylinder. Dark Magician player chains Book of Moon on Dark Magician. Change resolve backwards, Book of Moon resolves first, flips Dark Magician into defense position. At that time, the attacking monster is in defense position. There is no attack. It is not possible for a face-down defense position monster to attack, unless you're called like one of the samurais. Like the new Super Heavy Samurais, but let's not look at them right now. The attack is stopped. Therefore, there is no attack possible. Therefore, Magic Cylinder can't negate it, because there already is no attack anymore. That's the way to get around Magic Cylinder. Some other more obvious ways. Royal Decree to stop traps. Doesn't matter whether you have it face up already, or you chain it to Magic Cylinder, because it's a normal trap. You can do that. Another way is Wiretap. Wiretap 7 Tools of the Bandits, Dark Bribe. Just flip it face up as soon as wiretap, as soon as Magic Cylinder is activated. This thing just stops it. Other ways to get around Magic Cylinder, which can be quite annoying when I play my Chainburn, cards that can't be targeted by card effects. This. Cosmo Dark Destroyer is one of them. Cannot be targeted by an opponent's card effect. That's monster, that's spell, that's trap, that's everything. This is a card with an effect, therefore can't be targeted for the effect. Targets the attacking monster. Cannot be targeted by an opponent's card effects. If they attack directly with the Cosmo Dark Destroyer, or with the Forerunner, or anything else that cannot be targeted by card effects, or is unaffected by card effects, Elemental Hero Wildheart. Like, it doesn't even need to be just targeted. If it's, as long as the monster isn't affected by traps, so Elemental Hero Wildheart can still be targeted. It's not affected, then the attack won't be negated. And because the effect isn't negated, and the negation is needed for damage to be inflicted, an attack from Wildheart, I use Cylinder, I can do it, but then, like, I won't deal the damage because the attack won't be negated. How do you get around that idea, though? Because in my Chainburn deck, I definitely have seen this before, where I want to use Magic Cylinder, but it just doesn't work. Dimension Wall. Dimension Wall is just like Magic Cylinder, activated when the opponent monster declares an attack. However, this one doesn't target. It just makes the battle damage that you take be taken by your opponent. Quick ruling for this card, it's still treated as battle damage even though it's an effect that deals it to another player. It's still treated as battle damage. Because it says the opponent takes the battle damage you would have taken from this battle, not takes damage, because then you might think it's effect damage. It specifically says battle damage on the card. Advantage over Magic Cylinder, it doesn't target. 1. So something like Cosmo Dark Destroyer attacking directly, and then use Dimension Wall, the opponent, like the Dark Destroyer player, would take the 30,000 damage. Another thing is that with cards that are unaffected by card effects or just traps like Wildheart, Dimension Wall would still apply, because Dimension Wall doesn't like affect the monster in any way. It just takes the damage that the monster would have inflicted and then gives it to the other player. So it doesn't affect the monster. That's very helpful on Dimension Wall's part. The thing is that Magic Cylinder is the only one that actually negates the attack. Dimension Wall allows the attack to go through. In my Chainburn deck, attacks from the opponent are generally direct attacks. The only time they're not is when I still have a Battle Fader on the field from an earlier turn, or when I have a Carcardi in attack position that the opponent negated with like Effect Failure or Breakthrough Skill. Then I might have a monster on the field. So in that case, Magic Cylinder, let's say, once again, Dark Magician. Dark Magician on, let's say, the card Cardi that I have in attack position. If I use Magic Cylinder there, negates the attack, 2,500 damage. If I use Dimension Wall there, 1,700 damage, because 2,500 attack from Dark Magician against the 800 from card Cardi. Just 17. So in such cases, if you have a monster in attack position that has more than 0 attack points, it's less damage coming from Dimension Wall. And Dimension Wall also doesn't help you for monsters in defense position. If you just have a Dimension Wall face down and not a Magic Cylinder, you have a Battle Fader in defense position as your only monster. The opponent has 1,000 life points, and they're attacking with the Dark Magician because they always attack with Dark Magician in this video. Dimension Wall won't help. You're like, I want to finish it off with Magic Cylinder. Dang it, this is not going to help. So, yeah. I actually sometimes, not often, but when I can, switch Battle Fader to attack position to allow Dimension Wall. Sometimes I do that. Not often, but it can happen. But if it's a direct attack, doesn't matter. Then in that case, with the damages, it doesn't really matter. Then I do generally, let's say the opponent, I've given the opponent a Lava Golem, or they're attacking with their Dark Magician, and I have both a Magic Cylinder and a Dimension Wall face down in my Chainburn deck, then I use the Magic Cylinder first. And just leave the Dimension Wall for a later turn. Because they may just bring out a monster that can't be targeted later on. And I don't want to be left with a Magic Cylinder if they have a monster that can't be targeted or is unaffected by card effects. In that case, I want to have a Dimension Wall left. It's only a very slight risk that I have a card in attack position, which means less damage to them. It's a lot higher chance that they get a monster that isn't affected by card effects like Wild Heart, or a monster that can be targeted by any card effects, like Cosmo Dark Destroyer. So that's why I would use Magic Cylinder first. Chaining them together doesn't work. Like, you can, sure. Let's say opponent attacks directly with Dark Magician, you use Magic Cylinder, then you chain Dimension Wall. Change resolve backwards, so Dimension Wall first. Opponent takes the battle damage you would have taken from this battle, so Dimension Wall allows the attack to happen. Yeah? So, battle happens, like, I would have... Actually... No, this is just resolves, but then the chain keeps resolving because the effect hasn't actually happened. Huh. No, this is just... I think Dimension Wall just gives like sort of a status to the player that the opponent takes their damage. Because Dimension Wall doesn't say continue to damage calculation, then give the opponent the damage. So I think if you chain it Magic Cylinder first and chain link to Dimension Wall, the Dimension Wall just gives, let's say I'm the one that's using Dimension Wall, it gives me the status of the opponent takes my damage. Then Cylinder resolves, and it can still negate the attack, and therefore deal the damage. And then the effect that I got from Dimension Wall just doesn't work because like they're not damaging me anymore. I think that's it, actually. I have to look into some more detail about that, but that's what I think, because it doesn't let you continue into damage calculation. Otherwise, Dimension Wall would have just done its work, and Magic Cylinder wouldn't have worked because the attack had already happened. If we do it the other way, Dimension Wall first, then Cylinder would just negate the attack, deal the damage, and then the attack was already negated, so no damage, therefore Dimension Wall doesn't work. A lot I can talk about, but this is one of my favorite cards, and I've used it quite a bit, especially in Chainburn, so I can definitely talk about this card quite a bit. I like it. There's some other things I wanted to say about it. Oh yeah, tips and trivia, because I generally go into these pages. I think one of the last few videos I actually forgot to do that, but like it's not like I don't need it. I don't feel I need the tips and trivia pages. But I do feel it's interesting, and maybe I can just talk a bit more about something that's mentioned there. When you attack when stricken by the Scar Chain, Evacuation Device, Book of Moon. Use Ring of Defense, Spell of Pain, Rainbow Life to counter this card. Let's see. Is it that any damage you would have taken becomes healing? Trap effect that inflicts damage activated to make the effect damage 0. I know Rainbow Life makes effect damage into healing. Whenever you would take damage, even battle damage. So that works. The Spell of Pain will likely do something similar. When your opponent attacks, combine this card... Well, I do want to look at Spell of Pain now. Just one card now. Spell of Pain... When your opponent activates a card effect would inflict damage to you, your opponent takes effect damage from that card or effect instead. So chain this to Magic Cylinder, then like the Trap Magic Cylinder and this spell would have both been used, but the opponent still takes the damage. However, let's say once again it's a direct attack from the freaking Dark Magician. Opponent attacks me with Dark Magician. I use Magic Cylinder. Opponent chains Spell of Pain. I still take the 2500 damage that it would have otherwise taken from Magic Cylinder. However, it is effect damage then, and not battle damage. Because Magic Cylinder changes the 2500 points to effect damage, and then I take this. It also specifically says effect damage here, so interesting thing there. I would still take the damage in that case. When your opponent's attacks combine it with Mirror Force to destroy an opponent's monsters. Wait, what? I have to do a chain link, so let's look this up. Let's go back to Cylinder and read the cards properly. Okay, let's just go through both scenarios, just like we did with Dimension Wall. Opponent's monster declares an attack. Let's say they have a Dark Magician and a Blue Eyes White Dragon. And you want to take them both out, and you want to also hit the, let's say the first monster they attack with, which is their Blue Eyes. You want to hit them for 3000 damage as well. You activate Mirror Force first, then chain Magic Cylinder. Both in response to attack declaration, works fine, no issue there, both normal traps, perfectly possible. Mirror Force Chainlink 1, Magic Cylinder Chainlink 2. Magic Cylinder therefore resolves first, because chains resolve backwards. It negates the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. Blue Eyes was attacking, you negate Blue Eyes' attack, opponent takes 3000 damage. Magic Cylinder done resolving. Then you go to Mirror Force. It just says destroy all attack precision monsters the opponent controls. Does the opponent have attack position monsters? Yes. Does it have any other requirements? No. Dark Magician Blue Eyes gone. That works, because Mirror Force just has an activation requirement, which is the opponent's monster declaring an attack, and that can be at any point during the chain in response to the attack declaration. So it could even be Chain Link 2 after Magic Cylinder. If it would work differently, like we'll see just in a second. But that's the only activation requirement. After that, it's just destroy all attack position monsters the opponent controls. So, Mirror Force first, then Magic Cylinder would mean they take the effect damage and all their attack position monsters would be destroyed. Different order now. Once again, Dark Magician Blue Eyes in attack position on the opponent's field. They attack you directly with Blue Eyes. You activate Magic Cylinder first, then you activate the Mirror Force's Chain Link 2. Once again, chains resolve backwards, Mirror Force resolves first. An opponent's monster declares an attack. Yep, destroy all the attack position monsters the opponent controls. Okay, Dark Magician Blue Eyes gone. Mirror Force done resolving. Magic Cylinder. Target the attacking monster, we've already done that, that was upon activation. Negate the attack. That's the problem, because the monster is off the field, therefore there is no attack. There is no attack to possibly negate. Therefore, the damage can't happen either. So if you want to do the Magic Cylinder Mirror Force combo like I explained here, you have to activate Magic Cylinder as Chain Link 1. No. Mirror Force as Chain Link 1, then Cylinder as Chain Link 2, so that the attack can actually be negated, and then the monsters are destroyed. And not the other way around, because otherwise the monsters will be gone before you can negate the attack and it doesn't work. Ruling things in the video, but I just so much like talking about this card. And that just makes me a lot more excited and happy about it. And I do like to explain some rulings and things with like how chains work and stuff. I'm also, by the way, I'll tell you this now. I'm looking for some new ruling scenarios and rulings to explain in my Rulings with Aoka video series. I've not done that in a while because I haven't really thought about many rulings to explain. Generally, I'll wait for you guys to tell me about it, but a lot of people don't even know that I have that series. So for Rulings with Aoka, I'm looking first for rulings. If you want to know how SCGOC, so simultaneous effects go on chain work, let me know. I'll make a video on that. No, I won't confirm that I'll always do your idea, but at least I'm looking for some ideas, so your idea could quite likely make it. If you have a specific ruling scenario, like how would Effect Veiler work with Bujin Yamato while this other effect is already active on the field, how would they respond, which one goes first, do these three effects that all apply in the end phase go on a chain, or can you choose the order? If there's any ruling like that you would like explained, just let me know, and I may just make a video about it for the Rulings with Aoka series. Therefore, let's see, this card can be useful in decks that lack an offensive power. Ghostwing, yeah, Ghostwing doesn't have too much offensive power, I believe. Not actually used the deck much myself, but that I believe so. It goes more to defensive deck, so this can help to definitely deal some damage. Trivia. Popular counterpart Draining Shield increases your life points in popular. I was thinking it's not that popular. Polar. Yep. Increasing life points instead of dealing the thing, but still in response to declaration of the attack, still a normal spell, still targets, still looks at the current attack of the opponent's monster. Not original, current. Both Magic Cylinder and Draining Shield do that. This card was limited for 15 formats, all of them prior to September 2010. Before the September 2010 lists, semi-limited, the longer of any card on that list. Is that proper English? I don't think so. Limited before the September. There was no comma before, so it's not like continuation of an earlier part of the sentence. The longest, probably, of any card on that list. Like it was limited for 15 formats. And before September 2010, something that was undone from, let's say, limited, from the few that were limited and went to like semi-limited or unlimited at the time on that September 2010 list, Magic Cylinder had been limited for the longest time. I think that's what they mean. I think. So then it would be the longest of any card on that list as opposed to the longer. If you think anything different about it, let me know. But yeah, that was quite a long video. I don't know how long I've been recording, but I really like talking about this card. One of my favorites. Let me know if you have used this in any of your decks, whether it be Constellar or Yosenju or Monarchs or Atlantean or I want to say Kirby, because I have this package of the Kirby amiibo right here, and I was looking around, but a Kirby deck isn't a thing. Is there a deck with pink things with puffballs? Um, have you used it in a deck that happens to use pink things and puffballs? Buten? Does Buten count? Pretty sure that's like a little pig that's round and puffy, sort of. Does that count? Which decks have you used Magic Cylinder in? How do you feel it works in those decks? Have you used it? How do you think of Magic Cylinder in general? Do you plan to maybe use or test Magic Cylinder in one or two decks now that you've seen this video? If so, let me know, and especially once you've used it for a while, how has it been working for you? Do you like the card? Do you not like the card? I'm really interested to know, especially considering this is one of my favorite cards to use in general in Yu-Gi-Oh! That was a daily Yu-Gi-Oh! Video for today. I very much enjoyed making this video. Hope you enjoyed watching it. I will see you in tomorrow's daily Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. Goodbye.